The Papa Geoff's America program is on the air, anytime, any device. PapaGeoffUSA.com. Radio time from Houston, Texas, broadcasting around the country and around the world. Welcome to the Papa Geoff's America program. We're the talk radio podcast that discusses the stuff and things that you want to talk about. The talk radio podcast continuing the conversation, one podcast at a time. Inspiring guests, insightful commentary, and what would a day be without Papa Geoff's classic old guy humor, right? So, here's the guy that has trouble seeing the big E on the eye chart. The guy that some would say has a unique sense of humor, and the guy that definitely has a face for radio. Here's Mr. Here We Go himself, PG the OG, Papa Geoff. Welcome to Papa Geoff's America. The Talk Radio Podcast, continuing the conversation, one podcast at a time. I'm Papa Geoff, and this is Papa Geoff's America. Today we're going across the pond to the United Kingdom, more specifically to the northern England city of Sunderland. Today we're going to visit with Derek Buckham. He's a music writer, musician, author, and music video producer. He's done some awesome stuff, specifically a series of songs dedicated to those fighting COVID-19, the angels in blue who are risking their lives to save others. Definitely important stuff during these COVID times, and especially touching to me, having been a 911 agency first responder. He's a really interesting guest. He has a really interesting history, and I know you're really going to enjoy this conversation. The Papa Geoff's America program, the Talk Radio Podcast, continuing the conversation, one podcast at a time. It's a sunny 65 degrees at the Talk OG studios in H-Town, Space City, Houston, Texas. We're the city with no limits. We are Houston Strong. Coming up for us after the break, Derek Buckham, also known as Tokyo Rose, joins us from across the pond. Next.
I've never known this in my lifetime. Doctors and nurses dying on the front line. They're on their knees, they're begging to squeeze. Stay at home to beat this disease. But when this is all over, clap, 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 the bravery of medical staff. When this is all over, say thank you for the bravery of our angels in blue. The streets are empty, the shops are full, with idiots stocking up on toilet rolls. The pubs and clubs are on lockdown, and fear is spreading around our town. And when this is all over, clap, 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 the bravery of medical staff. When this is all over, say thank you for the bravery of our angels in blue. Angels in blue, angels in blue. Angels in blue looking at you. So when this is all over, say thank you. Say thank you to the angels in blue. When this is all over, say thank you. Say thank you to those angels in blue. And when this is all over, clap, 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 the bravery of a medical staff. And when this is all over, clap, 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 the bravery of a medical staff.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Our guest today from across the pond is Mr. Derek Buckham. He is from Sunderland, England, the United Kingdom, just across the pond, and he joins us today. We are very grateful for his presence today. He's an amazing guy. You guys are going to love his story. Derek, I'm honored, sir. Welcome to the program, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure, Jeffrey.
I know you've done a lot and you're still doing a lot. You're a published author and you still write, and we're going to be talking about that. And you record music under your own name, Derek Buckham, also known as Tokyo Rose. And we'll get into that a little bit. But just before we kind of get into the meat of things here, I wanted to note that you wrote a series of songs during the COVID lockdown, which in a lot of areas is really still going on. And the songs were Angels in Blue, The Lady That Saved My Life, and The Year That Never Was. And I have to start out just by telling you that your song and video, Angels in Blue, really touched me. It was what I would call a tearjerker. It did bring tears to my eyes. And you wrote that song as a tribute and part of a fundraising effort for NHS, the National Health Service there in the UK. And that song was special to me because I used to be a first responder here in the States. In Nevada, I worked for a 911 agency, which would be your 999, and worked on an ambulance for a lot of years, and took care of a lot of people and had a great time doing it. And I just want to say that thank you for writing that song, because it means a lot to me. And I know that it means a lot to the people that still work in that profession, no matter what their job, whether they're a policeman, a fireman, a medic, a doctor, a nurse, a technician, the people that sterilize the room. They're all important. They're all necessary. We all are in this together, and we all need to take care of each other. But Derek, thank you so much for writing those songs, especially Angels in Blue.
Jeff, I wrote this song, and basically the feedback has been marvelous. This woman kind of said it made them cry. So what I decided to do was to turn around and say, well, if I ever sell any, because I put it on all the music platforms, if I ever sell any, I will give the money to charity. However, I've had thousands of likes, but I think it's a lot easier for people just to press a button to like rather than to buy it. So it was in our local newspaper. Everybody turned around. It was quite embarrassing because basically it didn't sell. And I was quite disappointed, actually. But people that I talked to, that turned around and said, well, if you look at the likes of Spotify, it's had over 40,000 plays. But it all stems down to about $4. So it was very disappointing. But it hasn't stopped me writing music. And basically, my daughter's a doctor. I know how hard she works. And I know how hard everybody else works. And I've just been very lucky that these people have looked after me. I haven't caught this disease. I've had my first jab. I'm due to have my second jab next Saturday.
Awesome.
So basically, at the end of the day, we've all done as we were told, and luckily, I believe we are winning. So I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I think that's absolutely great, and I think that we, like I said, I think we're all in this together, and we all have to take care of each other. And I am a strong proponent of a national healthcare system. I have friends here in the States that are not. They are definite capitalists. Hey, if you don't have a good job and you don't have good insurance, then, to heck with you. And I think that's wrong. And
it's totally different in the UK. We've got a National Health Service. It doesn't matter how much money you've got. Everyone gets treated the same. The ambulance will take you to hospital. You can stop in hospital for 2 weeks, and when you leave, there's no bill. You just walk out.
And that's how it should be. I used to meet people in my ambulance days that no matter what age, folks that were either homeless or older folks, but I met folks every day, literally, that made choices between buying food or buying their prescription medicine. And I think that's just crazy. That just shouldn't be.
Geoff, to be honest, we pay a national insurance stamp and you don't miss it. If you're not working, it's still paid for you. And it never enters your mind that if you're unwell, that you can't go to hospital.
You never have to think about
it. Last year, every Thursday, people used to come to the front door at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night for 2 minutes and clap the National Health Service. And basically, that's what Angels and Blue is about. If you wondered what happens at the end of the song where everyone starts clapping.
Yep.
That is basically what gave me the idea to write the song.
Well, I think it was a great idea, and your emotion is definitely true. I could see that there. We're going to have in our show notes, we're going to have all of the links to contact you, to follow all of your work, and they'll be able to see that video. And especially my listeners that are still in the business or have been in the healthcare business are definitely going to be able to relate to that. I just think it's great, and I'm sorry that it didn't maybe generate the revenue that it was projected to, but I guarantee it made a difference in a lot of people's lives, because when you do that job, and I'm sure your daughters have told you, when you do that job, you do come across people that, shall we say, are less appreciative than others. And it's a hard job. It really is. It takes a lot of education.
I think with music, Geoff, it's basically the internet is absolutely flooded with music. Mm-hmm. And to get the major stations to play the song, they wouldn't. So that is basically why it didn't take off. As far as I was concerned, I'll keep on writing music as long as people keep liking it.
There you go.
And at the moment, I can tell that people like it by likes of what you've just told me, and it makes me want to do more.
Well, I hope you do, because that song and others that I've seen that you have written and performed, you're making a difference, my friend. You really are, and thank you for doing that.
I appreciate that.
And you've had musical interests for a long time. Your musical interest started early in your life. You learned to play the bass, and you were in several bands. Tell us about that. Tell us about kind of your musical upbringing.
I mean, this might sound a little bit strange to you, but basically what happened when I was 17 years old, I was working as an apprentice, and the guy I was working with had a band, and he said to me one day, he was 4 or 5 years older than me, and he said, well, come along. We're playing gigs. And I went and I watched them, and I used to go along with them. And I decided to learn to play bass. And the singer of the band said to me, have you ever been on stage playing your bass? And I said, no. And he said, well, come up, you can play with us. And the singer is Brian Johnson from AC/DC.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's Brian at the time. They were playing what we used to play, the workmen's clubs. And I got up with Brian, and Brian turned around and said, why don't you do the lights? And I said, no, Brian. I said, I've got the bug. I want my own band. And I knew Brian at the time. A lot of people not know that the band was called the Jasper Hart Band. He then changed the name to USA, and that's the truth. And they got picked up, and they were asked to change the name to Geordie. Now, Geordie is an expression of the way I talk. People from the Northeast are called Geordies. So Brian got his first hit record with a band called Geordie. He went to Australia, come back, and eventually he got picked up by AC/DC.
That's awesome. I love that. That's great. You are quite you're famous, my friend. You are.
No, not really.
You were famous before.
I've never seen Brian for 30 years. He lives in Florida.
Oh, wow. I love that. That's great. It's amazing to find out that people knew people. I like to say that I know people that know people. I went to school with some, well, what some would consider some pretty famous people, and they went on to do a lot of movie things and such. And you know, I went and did my thing, and everybody's got a path that we're on, and we're all going to get to the same place, but we're just kind of we're going in the same direction. We're just not going the same route. And
I've watched Brian on his videos and everything. He hasn't changed. And to you, I probably sound a lot like him.
Okay, but yeah, you know, now that you mention it, yeah, and that's great. That's great. Now, you're I've got my notes kind of out of order here. You currently have a band. If I've got my notes
from there, Jeff, we used to play the working men's clubs, which basically that was covering different other people's songs.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, I decided that I wanted to form my own band and write original material. So basically, we did that for a number of years. If you have a look, the woman singer is actually my wife, Val. And she, so we went around for quite a few years trying to make money doing original material. And eventually we couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to pack in writing music. So what I did, I decided I would build my studio over the years and just continue writing and recording music. And but to keep the name Tokyo Rose, because at the time we had quite a few followers. So that was the name of the band. So people actually know me as Derek Buckham, also known as Tokyo Rose.
Well, that's what our audience is going to remember. You're Derek Buckham, also known as Tokyo Rose. And if you've got a brand that's working, you definitely need to do that. That's where Papa Geoff came from back in the day, became Papa Geoff's America, and that same audience traveled over here to Papa Geoff's America with us, and then the audience has just grown to listeners in most major countries, actually. So that's great. Now, you got a video. I don't know if it's your latest video, but you got a video out that's called Nothing That Money Can't Buy, and I've seen it. It's awesome. Tell us about that.
Well, nothing that money can't buy. It's basically, I'm not rich, and I was watching a James Bond movie, and I thought to myself, yeah, that looks absolutely great. And I thought to myself, basically, what happens with me, Jeffrey, I think it's something like I've written a Halloween song, I've written Christmas songs, and it's very difficult of a guy of my age to start writing love songs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I thought to myself, I'll have a go at writing a James Bond theme tune. And basically, that is it. And if you look at the video, I managed to get the James Bond cast to do it for me.
I saw that.
Can you believe that?
And I'm a James Bond fan. And guys, you're just going to have to check it out. We're going to put the link to that. Nothing That Money Can't Buy. And you're going to get to see Derek Buckham, also known as Tokyo Rose. You're going to get to see him in action there in the.
Actually, Jeff, the last video I've just done is called Motorway Madness.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that one, but there's paramedics in that.
I will definitely check that out. And it's on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's the latest video. I did it last week.
Awesome. No, I must admit I have not seen it, and
Yeah, it's called
at,
Motorway Madness, and it's basically there's no basically what I've tried to do with most of the videos with being what shall we say, like through a terrible time. I try to put a bit of humor and give people a laugh, put a smile on people's faces. This one doesn't. This one basically is there's no laughs in it. There's the pictures of paramedics in it, and you've got to watch it really. Motorway Madness.
well, we're definitely going to check it out. We're definitely going to watch that. And I just wanted to comment to what you had said just a little bit earlier, Derek, that you're not a rich man. Perhaps not with money in the bank, because I'm right there with you, but you are a man. You are rich. You are rich in heart, and you are rich in soul. And I can tell just by your work that you've done and just in speaking to you, even though we're thousands of miles away, you are a rich man, my friend, and don't change. Keep doing what you're doing, because you're on the right path. That would be my encouragement.
Well,
definitely.
Jeff, if you read my book, The Santa Stories, which was written for Santa Claus, you'll find out more about me by reading that.
Well, guys, that's his published author work. He has done a series that's entitled The Santa Stories, and it is available on Amazon. We're going to post a link to that so you can check that out as well. And Derek, tell us a little bit about The Santa Stories. Tell us how that came to be and what's going on there.
Well, basically, what happened when my boy, I've got a family, a boy and a girl. And when they were young, again, I was building the studio, and I decided that I would write a Christmas song. So I wrote this Christmas song, and it was called Christmas Eve. And I put it in the drawer, forgot all about it. And when the internet come on, I decided that, what I'll do, I'll put it on the internet. And I got a message from a guy in California who was a guy called Jim Greenleaf. He actually died a couple of years ago. She's a smashing bloke. And he turned around and asked if he could use the song on his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, by all means, Jim. I said, play it. What I did, I watched the podcast, and he was excellent. So I spoke to him, and I said, well, why don't you tell children's stories? Christmas stories, because that's what Christmas is about. Kids sitting around Santa Claus listening to stories. And what happened was he turned around and says, well, I haven't got any. So basically, my wife, Val, who used to be the singer in the bands, always turned around and said to me, I would like to write a book. So I said to her, I've got the great opportunity for you to write some Santa stories. And she says, I can't. So I says, well, I've just promised the guy. So I sat down and I wrote them. And basically the stories are all, you've got to read them. They're all feel-good stories with good morals for our children.
Mm-hmm. I think we definitely need that, especially right now. The Santa Stories available on Amazon. Guys, you need to definitely check those out as well. I'm going to do that, and we will have links posted on how you can find that. Derek, what's on the horizon for you, for Derek Buckham, for Tokyo Rose? What's coming up? What are your plans?
Sorry, Jeff, can you say that again?
I'm sorry?
I missed that, Jeff. Could you speak up, please?
Oh, okay. What's on the horizon for you and Tokyo Rose? What's coming up?
Well, basically, Jeff, I'm at a point in life now where I worked as an engineer and had to keep dipping in and out of music. I've never packed in music, and now I'm in a situation now where I can concentrate full time on music. However, trying to go out on the road with playing original music without a huge fan base, you've got to finance it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, unless I can kind of start building up the fan base again, I'll just continue doing videos, doing music. I love it, Geoff. Yeah.
That's great. And I definitely encourage you to follow your heart. That's what you should be doing. You are great at it. I will tell you, our audience is going to know shortly that you're great at it. And just keep on.
What type of audience have you got?
We have folks that I like to say I know people that know people, because I do. We have folks. I have a friend that is in Nashville, Tennessee, who is a music producer. I have a friend in Australia that is a bassist, by the way, and does professional photography. And I think he's looking to get into videos. I have, my friend who now is in California, but used to work with the London Ambulance Service. And now he's a doctor of nursing practice and still flies in air ambulance. And we've got listeners in the UK, in Canada, Australia.
Oh, that's brilliant.
China. We even have a listener in Russia who I don't know who it is, but they are on the list every week that we release. So we have a worldwide audience. I'm not nearly there with that we're worldwide with BBC News. No, that's not my reach, but we've got new folks that are following us every day, and the word is getting out there, and they're going to know more about you, I'm sure. And I know everybody is glad.
Oh, well, Jeffrey, that's absolutely brilliant talking to you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm glad. Guys, you can get in contact with Derek, also known as Tokyo Rose. He's on Facebook as Derek Buckham, Buckham. His literary work is on Amazon as Derek Buckham, The Santa Stories. He's also on YouTube as Tokyo Rose Biz, B-I-Z. His website has had a few difficulties, tokyarose.biz, but that will be coming up probably a little bit after the lockdown, but definitely keep that. We're going to put that in as well. If you click on that link and it doesn't go through right away, don't get discouraged. He's still around. He's still here. He's still doing his stuff. But check out those links and check out his stuff on YouTube. It's amazing. Derek, thanks so much for coming on. You're amazing. You are rich, my friend. You absolutely are. We wish you the best of everything. Be well.
Jeffrey, thanks very much.
Thanks for joining us today for the Papa Geoff's America program. Check out more episodes of the Talk Radio podcast at papageoffusa.com. You can subscribe through the link on our website or wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all the major platforms. papageoffusa.com is your home for everything Papa Geoff. Anytime, any device. And while you're there, you can check out more episodes of the broadcast, check out the OG Corner, get in contact with us, and you can easily link to all of our social media. We do want to hear from you. Your thoughts, comments, and suggestions are what make this program happen. So send us an email on our website, papageoffusa.com. Please help us to get the word out and share our broadcast on all of your social media, because sharing is caring. And speaking of caring, if you'd like to help us coffee up here at the Talk Radio Podcast, give a click to the Buy Me a Coffee link. You know how much Papa Geoff loves his coffee. Hey guys, remember to wear a mask if you're going out. Practice that social distancing. Wash your hands frequently. Get the vaccine when it's your turn. And let's all do the right thing and take care of each other. Remember, disagree doesn't mean dislike. We're all in this together. Thanks again for joining us, and bring a friend with you next time. We're looking forward to seeing you next time on the Talk Radio Podcast, continuing the conversation, one podcast at a time.